Those are your own. But just keep in mind that the views, information, or opinions expressed on the Tuddle Day podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of our sponsors. Yeah, it's called free speech, people. Nobody's forcing you to listen. Get ready for your daily dose of Tuddle.
The all-time greatest intern/producer we've ever had, of course, Tuddle in Florida.
From the Hobo Fish Camp, it's the Tuddle Daily Podcast.
No wonder nobody likes you, Tuddle. Everything's a goddamn debate.
Hey, what's up, guys? As always, I need a mic check. Anybody let me know, but I got to get to Joe the supermarket. Joe, are you really on mushrooms right now? Because a lot of people have told me that mushrooms would actually be good for my depression. Joe, do you got access to a phone right now? Because I really would like to talk to you about. I mean, my producer just told me everything sounded good. Might want to work on your volume. But yeah, happy hump day. God, that I sound like such a hack when I. Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy hump day. But yeah, man. Yeah, give me a call, Joe. 407-270-3044. I would like to get your true opinion on what mushrooms are like. Everybody has told me that I need to try mushrooms. They said that microdosing would actually be good for my depression and stuff. But I've also had people tell me with my, crazy ass mind and stuff that mushrooms might not be good for me. So I don't know if I'm getting like conflicting reports or whatever. So I got a great show planned. Got a lot of stuff. I got a lot of news. I got an interview with Brandon Leibowitz. Oh, just got bad. I swear to God, man. I'll be right back, guys. I'm done. I'm done with StreamYard. And if Twisted Movies is in the chat room, I need to talk to Twisted Movies. So if any of you guys see Twisted Movies in the chat room, tell him I need to talk to him. Because he mentioned an app to be able to stream on the same platforms that I'm using right now. I'm done. I'm absolutely done with StreamYard. Fuck them. Fuck StreamYard. Fuck them. Like, seriously. I don't understand how any of these platforms that everybody uses, everybody says is the top of the line. I'm done. And I'm not going to get into this anymore. I got an interview coming up at 7:30 with Brandon Leibowitz. I want to pick his brain on how to grow the podcast and stuff. Another story that makes Florida look absolutely bad. These students, I guess I don't know if it was in shop or home ec or whatever it may be. They created these different letters that spelled out a racial. It's a 6-letter word for African Americans, and that's all I said. That I'll say, because I don't want to get in trouble. The news covered this story. What up, Atomic Citizen? But the news covered this story, and they talked about the letters and the picture and all this. What up, Jake Hudson? They talked about this picture that was posted. These middle school kids. It's a 6-letter word for African Americans. And it was posted on social media. Now, separately, when they were in shop class, home ec, whatever it may be, you would think the letters on their own would be harmless. And that's why it ended up happening. But then they stood in a certain, line, and it spelled out one of the racist words that you could ever imagine. And then they posted it on social media. I got that story. Then edible tape. Burritos always fall apart. And these college students invented this edible tape and stuff. And there's all types of other stuff, like this guy up in Minnesota. His tree was struck by lightning. And the guy, he's trying to take advantage of it. And he's trying to create the world's biggest pencil and stuff. But one of the first things that I wanted to get into on tonight's show is that I've talked about that I've started this new job and stuff. And I'm not going to talk about what it is or what I do. You guys know that I talk for a living. I do it every single day. I'm able to get my intentions, my feelings out through my words. But this is what I fear today, people. I am horrible. I hate text. I hate texting. I hate emailing. I hate everything about it. Because there are so many things that get lost in translation. And I'll admit, I'm not as good. I'm pretty good when it comes to speaking and my grammar and stuff. But when it comes to putting my thoughts into words and everything, I think sometimes what I'm trying to convey gets lost in translation. Because you're not able to get the feeling or where somebody is coming from with the written word. It happens to a lot of people. And this new job that I'm working right now is kind of a corporate setting. And you got to email people and stuff. And I almost had a panic attack today, guys. I almost had a panic attack because I was afraid that my reply that I was writing to somebody was going to come off that I was being a dick or I didn't agree with something. This is also the other thing. And I got to ask you guys this, okay? I was in on a Zoom meeting, and everybody that came on was calling the managers, the bosses, all that stuff by their first name. They were calling them by their first name and stuff. And even though my dad is still not around, I'm afraid that if I don't call somebody by Mr. or Mrs. or Miss, or say yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am, that my dad is going to just smack me in the back of the head. And I know this is going to make me sound like some old ass guy, because I've talked about this before. I've talked about this where when I was younger, I was like, oh, if I ever sound like this old guy, I'm going to kick my own ass. I could not have been any more wrong when it came to that, because a lot of these people that work under some of the bosses and stuff, they're calling their boss by their first name and everything. Maybe it's because I'm new to this new company and everything. And I really would like to get your thought in the chat room. And if you would like to call in, you can easily do that. 407-270-3044. But I think that a lot of people, I think a lot of employees and stuff have just completely thrown everything out of the window. Once again, I know that I'm sounding like that old guy that all of us, when we were younger, was like, oh, fuck that guy. Fuck him. No. I really do think that you got to approach things in a manner of respect. And something that I've also noticed that it's gotten to the point where that if you do that, Atomic Citizen, here, let me put that up on the screen. Atomic Citizen, in a work setting, J, use sir and ma'am for authority. Also, well, I mean, no, in Atomic Citizen, you do bring up a great point, unless the authority requests otherwise. Does that make me seem like a square or some type of nerd, or just a dumbass? Here, I'll give you. I brought this point up before, okay? And this is not even in a work setting. I hang out with Colton all the time. I go over to his house. A lot of Colton's friends come over. You know, Colton from the Bubble Up Sponge show that, he's doing really, really well right now. But I lived with him for quite a while. And a lot of his friends and stuff would come over, and they would call Colton's parents by their first name. And that blew me away. What up, Bubble Light? Bubble Light says, what up, Tuds? But when I would see Colton's friends call his parents by their first name, I was kind of shocked. I was blown away. There has never been one single time that I have called Colton's parents by their first name. I always say Mr. this, Miss and Mrs. this. And I sometimes I think some of his friends look, man, Tuddle is a real nerd, because he's calling your parents by their last names and stuff. I have never done that. And I don't know if that's because the way I was raised and stuff, But I've just always done that. And even though my dad is not around, it's just the way that he raised me. And that's what I've been concerned about with this new endeavor, this 9-to-5 job that I got right now. And I'm so grateful for it. It still allows me to be able to do this podcast and stuff. But I really think you got to go about things in the right way and stuff. I don't know. It just kind of set me off, and maybe I'm just overthinking things because I can get up anywhere and I can talk about this stuff. I can talk about anything. If somebody or a boss or a superior was like, "Hey, man, I need to get you up there, and I need you to talk on stage, kind of entertain everybody," I would have no problem with that. But if they told me, "Oh, you need to write an email to somebody, and you got to like convey your feelings, your message, and all that stuff," that's what freaks me out, because the written word, unless you're an author or a professional writer and stuff, it does get lost in translation. How many times have you guys or ladies have been dating somebody and you send a text to somebody that you're interested in, or you're dating, or maybe you're liking, and you've sent something and they got pissed off? They got absolutely pissed off. They got mad at you because something you wrote got lost in translation. Lummy's Chip, what up, buddy? Lummy's Chip says, "Sup, bro? I'm glad you could join me, Lummy's Chip." So there's a big difference. In this age of texting, social media, look at all the things that celebrities and stuff have written or posted on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and it got taken out of context. And it happens all of the time. It does. So before my guest, Brandon Leibowitz, comes on, I want to get into a couple of these news stories and stuff. I think earlier in the week, might have been Monday, San Jose, that cop that got busted for masturbating when
firefighters in New Britain are sparring over
I guess they're having a big
to
problem
stop drug use within the fire
with
department.
some
Are
firefighters.
sparring over.
And you got to realize firefighters, they're big into the union and stuff. And this one firehouse has been having some issues when it comes to drug use.
Right now, city leaders and firefighters in New Britain are sparring over what can be done to stop drug use within the fire department.
Eyewitness News reporter Roger.
Now, the big drug, you're going to be shocked. The big drug that they're having a problem with is a drug that everybody uses. It's not an illegal drug, but it is abused more than any other drug in the United States.
Suzanne joins us now live outside the New Britain Fire Department. Because, Roger, this controversy follows this.
Look at that vest that guy's wearing. Is he trying to be like Bill Cosby? Holy crap almighty. Look at that.
She follows the suspected overdose death of a firefighter, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. City leaders say Matthew Disney's death really uncovered and revealed a culture of rampant drug abuse within the New Britain Fire Department. New Britain firefighter Matthew Disney died in January in Southington, and although the chief medical examiner has not ruled on an official...
Oh, I mean, come on. Why are we not able to find out what drug he OD'd on? And let's be honest, these firefighters, even though you guys might not want to admit it, are different than cops, okay? They don't got guns. They're not killing people. These guys, these heroes are running into places that most people run away from. Now, you might not want to have your firefighters all doped up on like really, really hard drugs and stuff. I hope they're not bitching about marijuana and stuff. But come on, man. These firefighters are dealing with PTSD and stuff. They're running into goddamn burning buildings.
Cause of death. Mayor Aaron Stewart tells us it was a suspected overdose. But she says the investigation also showed significant drug use within the department. She says the main drug abused was Adderall, but there were...
All right. I take Adderall. And yes, it is one of the most abused drugs in America. But firefighters, they go through a lot of downtime. A lot of people think firefighters just sit around the firehouse, play cards, gamble, bring women in and drink and just eat. There's a lot of times that firefighters are just going nonstop. They aren't. Well, I mean, Jacob brings up a great point. It is. I'll take Adderall too, but it might as well be as bad as meth. Well, I mean, Jacob, if you get a prescription of Adderall, which I do, if you look on the label, it says amphetamine salts, not methamphetamine. It says amphetamine salts. Yeah, it is abuse. It might as well. It's basically legal meth. It is. But it does help out a lot of people. A lot of people here, I'll explain this to you. The people that are abusing Adderall are the ones that get like all just wired up. They're very twitchy and stuff because guess what? If you really need Adderall, if you truly need to be prescribed Adderall, it actually does the opposite and actually calms you down. It does. It does calm you down. What up, Manu? Manu says a recreational Adderall sounds like fun. I mean, it is a hell of a drug. It really, really is a hell of a drug. Jacob Kimberly derived from the same derivative. It is. Spice Boys, Gold Mike Dorsop. Hey, Tuddle, how you doing? I'm doing quite fine, man. I'm glad that you joined me tonight. Great show tonight. Got an interview coming up with Brandon Leibowitz. And I got plenty of great news stories. But the reason I want to bring this up is that Adderall is a drug that is actually going to make firefighters better at their job. Sorry, they're running into burning buildings. They're running into places that usually people run away from.
There were also admissions of firefighters using heroin and fentanyl.
Okay. Now, I'm not going to shock jock you and say, oh, yeah, fentanyl and heroin's fine. No, it's not. I mean, that does make you sleepy and everything. So, yeah, I could get that. But I don't know if this place is actually against firefighters legally being prescribed Adderall and stuff. I mean, if they're because here, I'll give you an example, guys. The first time I worked at Cox Media Group over in Tampa, I had to have a drug test done. I was legally prescribed Adderall. HR reached out to me and they're like, hey, you tested positive for amphetamines. We got to call your pharmacy and we got to make sure that you're legally prescribed this. And we did. We called them and they said I was all in the clear. No bubbles, no troubles. But I had to deal with that whole thing. But there is a lot of people that have illegal Adderall. I mean, it happens all the time. Cowhead stole your radio career. I had to take Adderall so I could deal with the moles on my face. Well, there you go, buddy. But, I mean, Adderall is not going to stop a firefighter from... Matter of fact, it's going to make him better at his job, I think.
7 firefighters, including 2.
But, I mean, fentanyl and heroin, yeah, that's a bad thing. Not so good.
2 lieutenants have been demoted, suspended, and put on probation for 3 years. And Lieutenant Michael Yagman was fired. But Mayor Stewart worries that drug abuse could still be flying under the radar. So she's pushing for firefighters to allow random drug testing within the department. Something right now.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'll play the rest of the story.
The firefighters union does not allow.
I feel confident that the majority of the department that comes here to work every day to do their job, to protect and serve, to keep us safe, right? They are trustworthy individuals. But the reality is that we need to make sure that this policy exists.
Say what you want. Even better than the police department, the firefighter union, especially in the Northwest or Northeast and Chicago, those firefighter unions, forget about it. You're not going to be able to force the firefighters union to do anything that they don't want to do. And it's kind of here. I'll go back to my time at Cox Media Group. If you randomly drug tested any of the on-air personality, salesperson, promotions, you would not have a staff. You just wouldn't. Because when you get first hired at a big radio station company, you're going to get drug tested the first time. And then after that, once you pass that, you're not going to get randomly drug tested. Because like I said, back to what I said, you wouldn't have any employees at all. It just wouldn't. And Jacob Kimberly says, any prescription drug can be abused. Yes, of course. I don't know what has happened where... As humans, we just get addicted to everything. We get addicted to foods, drinks, everything. Alcoholism. Manu, my brother-in-law, a seasoned firefighter and is a total pothead, alcoholic, and a top bloke. Well, see, Manu brings up a great point. He does. Alcohol is legal. It is. I mean, you can't drive around because you can't be a DUI driving around and everything. But it's illegal. Alcohol is legal. And if a firefighter was out there, I don't even care if he was buzzed. But do you realize if a firefighter that was tanked, he was sauced out of his mind, was carrying a mother and a newborn infant out of a fire-ridden building, saved 2 lives, and then somebody complained about him being drunk, guess what? He would lose his job. He would. He would absolutely lose his job. But it's illegal. But at the same time, I don't know what their policy is at this fire department or this county, even though the person is prescribed Adderall and they're not abusing it and they get caught, or maybe they saved that same mother and child out of that burning building, they're going to get ostracized. But alcohol, big tobacco, the reason why you're able to get away with it more with them is because of the lobbyists. The lobbyists are the ones that are putting the money in the politicians' hands. It's just a revolving door of butt fuckery. And nobody's willing to admit that. It's just the way that it has been for quite some time, and it's the way that it's always going to be in the distant future. Speaking of other drugs, the reason I wanted to play this one story, because I'm kind of waiting for my interview, Brandon Leibowitz. This next story, they came up with this
wrapped up a one-of-a-kind design. Students
tape.
just wrapped up a Hopkins students just wrapped up a one-of-a-kind design.
They came up with this edible tape. I guess a lot of these college students were having a problem. I've never had a problem eating a burrito, but you know, they came up with this edible tape to help keep burritos closed and everything, and now they got a patent on it. Speaking of drugs, I got to tell you, the college students, and this is actually at a big college, a well-respected college. You know that these students were high as hell. They were baked out of their minds when they came up with this idea.
Hopkins students just wrapped up a one-of-a-kind.
Johns Hopkins University, they came up with this. They did. Hold on, let me read this. Jacob Kimberly says, but what people do in their own time, recreational, should not have anything to do what they do on the clock. And I agree with you. I mean, I agree with you 100%, Jacob. Yeah, I mean, even marijuana. It's just the war on drugs has been a fail. Oh, hold on. I got Brandon coming on. I gotta get rid of this. What up, Brandon? How are you, buddy?
Good. How you doing?
I got Brandon Leibowitz. Did you get the last name right? Leibowitz?
Yep, Leibowitz. You're fine.
Hey, Brandon, where are you calling from, my friend?
In Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. You know, well, a lot of people think of Los Angeles or like, oh man, we got one of those Los Angeles people on the line right now and everything. Where are you originally from?
From San Pedro, California, near Long Beach.
So you're a Californian, you know, true, right?
Yeah, grew up here and lived here pretty much my whole life.
You know, Brandon, you know, they call the people that were born and raised in Florida crackers, you know, and a lot of people would think that that's a bad thing, but they do. The people that were born, because there's a lot of people in Florida that did not grow up from here. Do you guys get that a little bit in California, where a lot of people like were born in other areas and come to California?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people coming out here because got Hollywood. So everyone's trying to make it out here and trying to get that big break.
Yeah, I could only imagine that, because I mean, we get that here in Florida as well too, man. Everybody's like, oh, I got to go to Orlando. It's the place of the theme parks and stuff. And it's just crazy. Brandon, before we get into the interview, tell my audience a little bit about yourself and what you do and how they can find you online, because I was checking out your social media footprint, and it's pretty large, my friend.
Yeah, my name is Brandon Leibowitz, and I've been doing digital marketing since 2007, and specifically helping people get more traffic from Google, trying to get that free traffic using search engine optimization. So that's what I've been focused on over the past 15 years, is just trying to figure out ways to get you more free traffic. I've helped out with social media, paid ads, all that stuff definitely works, but I just prefer SEO because it's free traffic, and why spend money when you can get up there for free? So that's
I agree with you 100%, Brandon. Now, one of the questions I wanted to ask you, you know, with the acquisition of Twitter and Elon Musk, everybody thinks that you got to be on social media. That's the best way to get publicity and everything. But now, come to find out, a lot of the people on Twitter might just be bots. They might be fake and everything. Is it a waste of time to be on social media and promote yourself? I mean, it does have its benefit, but what is the best way to go? What are some of the suggestions you can tell about people on social media that want to promote their business or their brand?
Social media is good, but it's lost a lot of value over the years just because engagement has dropped so much. So in the past, if you had 100 people that followed you or liked you or whatever it may be, and you post, all 100 people would see what you post. Nowadays, depending on what platform you're on, like if you're on Facebook, about 5% of the people will see you. So 5 out of 100 people will ever see what you're posting. Instagram might be like 30% of the audience. So all these platforms kind of limit what you could, or your visibility. So you work to build this following, and then they say, all right, if you want to show your content to the following, you got to pay us.
Oh, so it is pay to play then, right? It kind of is like pay to play when it comes to this stuff, because a lot of people talk about being shadow banned and not a lot of people seeing their stuff. Is that kind of done on purpose by these big social media corporations?
I'm not sure why or what triggers the shadow bans, but they are happy to get you to spend more money and advertise, because that's how they make more money for their shareholders and get their stock prices up. So it all comes back down to ad spend. The more you spend in ads, the better off or the happier those companies are.
So now Google is free. I mean, it's out there. What are some of the tips, tricks, or advice you can offer my audience that they can easily get off of Google? Like, what are the best ways that they can get their stuff out there?
I mean, there's a ton of different things, but an easy one is adding more content to your website, more text. Google really loves content. So content is a big part of SEO, search engine optimization, is writing text. Google can't really read images or videos yet. They're getting there, but they really rely heavily on text. The more content, the better. So if everyone just adds more text to every single page on their website, they will see a definite increase in traffic.
Yeah, my guest on the line right now is Brandon Leibowitz. If you guys have any questions, put them up in the chat room right now. I'll be more than happy to put them up for my guest, Brandon. Now, I mean, Google is one of those big corporations. A lot of people don't trust Google. Do some people pay to play on Google as well, too?
Well, the ads at the top, but Google puts a little thing saying these are ads or ads next to it, really tiny, but they don't try to decept or trick you. They don't want you to know they're ads, so you click on them, because every time you click on those ads, that company is paying Google. It might be 50 cents. It could be $1 per click. It could be $5 per click. It could be $50 per click, $100 per click. It gets really expensive. That's why I try to stay away from the ads. They do work. It's just they could be pretty expensive and eat up a budget very, very quickly.
Now, so all right, here, let's use me for example, okay? Tuddle Daily Podcasts. I wanted to use Google. I'm putting out content every single day. The amount of content that I'm putting out, all my live streams are available on YouTube, Twitch. My podcast is available on iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes Radio, and stuff. What are some of the things I could do? Like if I came to you and I said, Brandon, I'm kind of hitting a little bit of a plateau right now, getting my brand out. I need your advice. What can I do?
You gotta start adding. Well, have a website and add each blog post or add each podcast as a blog post or a page to your website, and transcribe the podcast or timestamp it, because Google, all these platforms, they can't really listen or hear your audio or video. They're not there yet, so they need you to transcribe it in text. The more text, the better. So if you could do that and add a page, each page to your website is a different podcast episode, have a good title. Titles are very important for every page on your website. So just like every page, a podcast title is essentially important to put as many keywords as possible without repeating yourself, and keeping it about 60 characters. It's kind of the sweet spot for titles. So
you're saying less is more sometimes. Less is more?
Well, you don't want to be clickbaity where it's really short either. You don't want to have it too short, because then you're missing out on putting more keywords like BuzzFeed and stuff like that. They were popular on social media. They didn't really care about ranking on Google. They did, but they just wanted to go viral on social. So short titles went viral on social media, whereas Google, they wanted more keywords. The longer title, about 60 characters.
Brandon, Jacob asked, what has been your biggest or been your hardest hurdle in the industry you're in?
Just trying to figure out Google. That one is the toughest because Google changes every single day, and just trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work, and what changes they're making. But Google makes it tricky because it's constantly changing. They're always changing their algorithm.
Manu says, not a fan of Google. What do you say to people like that says they're not a fan of Google?
Well, there's other search engines like DuckDuckGo or Ecosia or Bing, Yahoo, but there's plenty of other sites out there. And if you're fine not searching, there's other ways to find websites, but Google does make it easy to find stuff.
But okay, but what do you say to the people that say Google controls the flow of information?
Oh yeah, they definitely control way too much. They have way too much control for sure, because they control everything. They watch everything you're doing. They hear everything, see everything, and they know way too much. It's kind of scary. Yeah,
I mean, all right. So, are these big search engines? I remember when in the early 2000s, you remember Ask Jeeves? Do you remember Ask Jeeves back in the day? Everybody was like, oh man, Ask Jeeves. You can ask this butler, Ask Jeeves, any question that you want to, Brandon. Everybody was like, oh man, it's like the know all end all of all the information on the internet and stuff.
Yep, I remember that. And then Google came along and just took over and dominated somehow with their algorithm, which is based off backlinks. That's how they rank websites. But that's what differentiated them versus all the other search engines back then.
Do you think over tagging something can hurt you? Like tagging stuff too much? Like, all right, YouTube is owned by Google, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so like a lot of people will just hashtag things that don't even relate to their business and everything, or the video that they posted, just to like, clickbait and everything. Can that hurt you?
It could hurt you potentially if somebody goes and watches your video and your video is 30 minutes and somebody watches 30 seconds and then hits that back button. That sends them a negative signal saying this video wasn't the most relevant. So, and also just to get views is good, but like that doesn't do anything. Like views or traffic to your website doesn't do anything. You want sales, leads, conversions, whatever your goal is. If you're doing YouTube, you want subscribers, or you want people to like your content or comment. Well, mainly subscribe. That's the ultimate goal. Get them to subscribe, but it just depends on what your goal is.
Jacob Kimberly writes, what do you try and focus on more, quality of content or reach of engagement?
Quality is most important. You have to have good quality, because if you're just trying to spam and throw stuff out there just to throw stuff out there, some stuff will stick and get there. But if you're really focused on quality, then you can really hone in on, even though you're putting out less content, the content you're putting out is going to be of better quality, and that's going to hopefully get people to be more engaged and shared and keep it going, hopefully getting it out there and going viral and getting backlinks built in naturally.
You might not be able to talk about this, but because of client privilege and stuff, but Manu asks, who are some of the big clients that you've worked with?
Yeah, I can't really, I don't know if they'd be too happy, but worked with some big insurance companies and casinos and some big
casinos.
Yeah, or casino.
Let me ask you this. So have you ever had a client come to you that you turned down? You're just like, I'm not into what you're doing and stuff.
Well, yeah, there's been some weird stuff, but also stuff where it's like too general. Like if you're trying to sell t-shirts and you're trying to rank on Google, it's going to be very, very tough. Unless you have a big budget, you're competing against like Amazon and Nordstrom's and Target and Walmart and all these big corporations. So it comes down to, if you have a good product or service that isn't heavily competitive, that you have something to differentiate yourself. Because if you're just selling the same thing everyone else is, it's going to be really tough. Unless, again, you have a big budget, it's doable. But even then, it's still going to take a lot of time.
Hey, Brandon, let me ask you this. I'm not trying to be shy. Would you, say a cam girl or somebody that's into a certain type of lifestyle came to you and they make their living online, by posting stuff you might not agree with or whatever, but they got a big following and everything, and they wanted to enlist you to help them and their brand grow. Would you be okay with that? Or is that something you would turn down? Because, I mean, you do have a big following and everything. Are you big enough where you can just turn down people that are willing to spend a bunch of money?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't turn down someone that seems like legitimate business. If they're doing that and it's all fine and legal, then it's
I'm just saying, like a person that is humongous on OnlyFans or something. Like, I mean, would I mean, if they were willing to pay your price and stuff, would you help them out? I'm just saying, because there's so much stuff on the internet that is not regulated and everything, and people do have a moral compass and stuff. Is that something that you would be down for? I mean, would you help out somebody like that?
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed if it's what they're doing and that's how they're making a living and it's legal and not hurting anybody and not doing any harm. That's not a big issue, but it just comes down to like something where it's just too broad, too general, where it's like, it's going to be very tough to compete for that. But if they're selling a product or service, even though it might be a little strange or obscure, worked in some industries that were a little weird, like the preppers. So they would sell like zombie apocalypse kind of prepared kits and things like that, which seemed a little interesting, but they would sell and people would buy it all the time. And this is also when, it was kind of strange, but I don't know. People were kind of paranoid a few years ago about the living dead.
All right. Well, one last question. Jacob Kimberly once again writes, what's your number one go-to advice for somebody wanting to enter into the industry?
I would say just watch videos and read as much as you can and start testing stuff out. See what works, what doesn't work. Just because you read something online doesn't mean it's true, or doesn't mean it still works, because things change so quickly. So whatever you read, just make sure it's at least somewhat recent, maybe from the past couple of years. But the best is just testing. Like if you're trying to jump into social media marketing, if you're not able to post on TikTok and you've never used TikTok, that's not going to be good. You're not going to be able to get that job. So if you're able to use TikTok and grow your audience to maybe a few thousand people, then you could say, hey, look, to this employer, this could be your portfolio or your resume. I give my own account to 5,000 followers. Or if you're trying to jump into SEO, make a website or have someone build a website and start doing SEO. Start seeing if you can rank it for keywords. And then you could show a potential employer or somebody that, look, I've done this and I could replicate it and do it for your website.
Hey, Brandon, you got a big following. You must be doing quite well for yourself if you're living out in that part of California. Well, what's a normal day like for you?
Waking up in the morning and then just jump into work. Go to work for a little while.
Come on, Brandon, you got to give me a little bit more than that. Come on, I'm doing the show and everything. You know, we're trying to create some content and stuff here. Like, I mean, you live in a real good neighborhood in Los Angeles, Hollywood, or wherever you're at right now?
No, in Venice.
In Venice. Okay, Venice Beach. I mean, it's very famous. Yeah. I mean, you living by yourself and stuff, or you got a family? Like, what's going on there?
No, just by myself right now. Just me and just moved out. Had a roommate before and now got my own spot. So enjoying that a lot more. And
how old of a dude are you? Like, I mean, you seem like you got a lot of stuff going right for you and everything. And a lot of people think that they need to be at a certain point in their life at a certain age and stuff. And that's the only reason I asked the question.
No, I'm 37.
Oh, so 37, you're doing quite well right now. I mean, you're very successful. I mean, significant other or anything out in Los Angeles or California where you're at?
Not at the time being. So just
man,
a little while ago. So on the market right now. We'll see.
Well, I mean, come on though. I mean, you going out and everybody's like, oh man, that's Brandon Leibowitz. Like if you're at a bar and stuff, you're like, oh, that's Brandon. I need to go over and talk to him because he's doing quite well and everything. I'm sure you get a lot of that when you're out and about, right?
No, not on those celebrities. There's too many celebrities out here in LA. So
whatever, Brandon. You're being modest, man. Come on,
Brandon, unfortunately, but I'll keep working and building that name up. But people know me in the digital marketing field, but that's about it. So
all right, Brandon. Well, man, I really
audience.
I really appreciate it, my friend. Tell my audience once again how they can check out any of your stuff.
Yeah, so everyone that's listening or watching, I created a special gift for them. They go to my website, seooptimizers.com/gift. They can find that there. That's seooptimizers.com/gift.
All right, Brandon. Well, I hope you have a wonderful night, man. I really appreciate it. Okay.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Sorry. Guys. I mean, the guy's got a big following and everything, but you know what? I kind of don't care. Do you guys realize that I did everything? All right. Sorry. All right. Hey, let's move on. Because I got to be cool and I got to play games, and I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it at all. And I'm going to move into my next story and stuff. Because I try. You know what? I'm done. I'm just moving on. Old me would have just left scorched earth.
It's growing tonight with the discovery of Treasure Coast Middle School students appearing in a photograph spelling out a racial slur taken on campus. Good evening, I'm Todd McDermott.
And parents and even the school.
Good evening, I'm Todd McDermott, and a bunch of kids had a 6-letter word separately, and when they lined up together, it spelled out a racist word. If I'm being honest, guys, what really pisses me off about the news here, let me go back to the beginning of this. What really pisses me off about the news is that they dance around the whole situation. I don't think that the news should be edited at all. Let's put it out there. Let's put the racism out there where people can see it. Because everybody has such a short attention span. And I will almost guarantee you a lot of the people don't even know what these kids did.
First at 11, outrage growing tonight with the discovery of Treasure Coast Middle School students appearing in a photograph spelling out a racial slur taken on campus. Good evening, I'm Todd McDermott.
And I'm Felicia Rodriguez. Thank you for joining us, parents, and even the school superintendent tonight expressing concern. Ari Height has new reaction and new details on the investigation underway.
Members of the school board here in Martin.
Members of the school board. I mean, come on. It just, I don't understand. Like, the news is supposed to be doing their job. And these kids, what they had ended up doing, I guess, and I don't know if they did this off of school grounds or whatever. I don't know if they did this in shop or home ec or whatever. But they create. I did not. Hold on. I did not do that. Did somebody? Anyways, these kids created and made these letters, and the only way you would know what the word would say is if the kids lined up in a certain way.
On the investigation underway.
Members of the school board here in Martin County say they were advised by their attorney to not discuss this specific incident while the investigation.
Everybody is flanking themselves. And I do believe that kids do not, kids are not born racist. They're taught this. And a lot of these parents, kids, lawyers, they're all flanking each other right now. They're flanking the reporters, the other lawyers, the authorities and stuff. And yeah, especially, and you know what really pisses me off? That they bring up the Buffalo shooting. Tragic, yes. Racially motivated, yes. But a lot of these local news and everything, they only want to bring up the Buffalo shooting to be able to locally tie their stories to a tragedy.
Is ongoing. But that didn't stop members of the public from telling the school board exactly what they think about what happened.
It's racism.
I am appalled. What is happening is just not okay.
That's just a small sample of what members of the public had to say about a photo posted on social media. It shows 6 students at Hidden Oaks Middle School in Palm City, each holding a letter spelling out a common racial slur aimed at the black community.
All right. Well, I'm not going to go through, but living in the South, especially in Florida, where the story was, there's a lot of racial words that could be used and they didn't have to say the word. I don't think that word should ever be used. The photo is all over social media. It's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's everywhere. You can find it. You know, my last guest was talking about how great Google was and how it could be so beneficial. And it can be. It really can be. Just search Hidden Oaks Middle School. Go to images. And you'll find out exactly what they spelled out. But the news, they were too much of a pussy to put it up there. And once again, I don't agree with saying the word. No, the word should never be spoken. But if it's an image with a bunch of kids, you could blur out 2 of the letters in the middle, and your point could still get across.
The school district confirmed the photo is authentic. They say the students made the letters in an art class.
Oh, it's disgusting, and it's...
So I was right. It was an art, home ec, whatever it might be.
It's, again...
We're doomed, people. We really are doomed.
Everything that the Martin County School District stands for.
Coincidentally, the school board's regular meeting was scheduled for Tuesday. There was no time to put...
I bet these... probably a lot of these council people in the county, they probably hate each other, but they knew they saw this story and they knew, oh man, we got a meeting tonight. And they probably all, some might be Republican, some might be Democratic, and they probably hate each other. But guess what? They're probably like, hey, we're all going to meet. We're going to get drunk as hell. Because this is going to be a long night for us. Because they absolutely knew that the citizens were going to just come after them. Manu, you're right. The news is all scripted. It is. George Carlin. The news is owned by the politicians, the lobbyists, the big corporations. Seriously, if you're so dumb that you don't realize that CNN, MSNBC is left-leaning, and you don't know that all the Fox channels are right-leaning, they're conservatives, the other ones are liberals, and you don't have enough sense to be able to figure out that, of course, they're going to be a little bit biased. They're all biased. Every single news outlet is biased. And it's just sad. Sad that people aren't smart enough to know that. Oh.
Put this photo on the agenda, but people still pack the room, some with signs to voice their opinions.
It's time for you to take responsibilities in your schools and teach children to respect each other.
Racism is something that is taught. It is embedded in a person.
The woman has a great point. It is taught. Racism is taught. Kids are not born racist. And it's getting better over time. It is getting better over time. It really, really is.
Our schools do not educate these entitled, spoiled little brats. Who will?
It was very heartbroken.
Jimmy Smith is the president of the NAACP in Martin County. He says this is about so much more than just a photo.
We all have made mistakes, but when you get to that degree.
Oh, and Spice Boys Gold Mike doorstop. Yeah, and guess who in Florida is trying to take that away from education? I'm trying to stay away from politics, but there was a story, and I'm not going to get into it tonight because it is really, really long. You know, all this money, you know what? I'm not getting into it. I agree with you. I really, really agree with you. And man, who says, Jesus, look at Aaron.
And that to come up with an idea like that, there's something else going on.
And it's that something else that has many concerns, saying it's not a giant leap from a photo to the racially motivated shooting that killed 10 people in Buffalo over the weekend.
All right, it is. It is. Okay, that guy was completely racist. Oh, yeah, you know, I got to hit this one. Steve Duncan says, sorry, man, I never get home before 7:30. I mean, no problem. But Steve also says, but I always check the audio podcast each day. Well, Steve, you do not have to apologize at all. I'm glad that you are listening to the audio podcast. Hey, Steve, let me get your opinion. Since I gotten this new equipment and stuff, the audio has, you got to admit, has been way, way better for the audio podcast. Iggy T said, is DeSantis Mex? No, he's not. He's a seaman, Navy guy, governor of the state of Florida, has ambitions of being the next president of the United States. Here, just briefly, okay? I do not agree with these politicians, senators, governors that run for president while they're still in office and the office that they hold right now. I think if a governor or a senator wants to run for president, they got to step down from the office that they hold. Because there are a lot of politicians that play the game and they hedge their bets. They will be like, oh, I'm going to run for president, but I'm the governor. I'm the senator. And if I don't happen to win the presidency, I can always go back to being the governor or the senator. No, I really do think that there needs to be a law where it says that if you run for another political office or another political seat, you have to vacate. You got to vacate what you're doing. So, like, for example, if Ron DeSantis, who is the governor right now, and he decides that he wants to run for the presidency, he's got to step down. He's got to step down from being the governor. And I think that will keep a lot of these people that are, I mean, it's like if your boyfriend and your chick is like, oh, I'm going to go try to be with this other guy that's hotter and better than you, got a bigger penis and stuff. But if it doesn't work out and he turns me down, oh, yeah, I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you, no doubt. No. The state of Florida is that guy that outkicked his coverage and is with a really hot chick. I'm not saying that DeSantis is a hot chick or whatever, but, oh, no, he's one to go to the bigger penis, better looking, more buff presidency. And if the presidency turns him down, he's going to come back to us. No. That is not how it works. And that's what I've always thought. If you're a politician and you go for a higher seat, then guess what? You don't get to come back if you lose.
Better take this very, very seriously, or we will have buffalo blood right here in Martin.
I mean, I can see his point. I mean, the NRA, the anti-gun people, everybody jumps on these tragedies. It's not, well, in this case, it is about racism, but it's also, you can make all the gun laws you want to in the world. until we start paying closer attention to mental health, we're not going to be able to do anything about this violence. It's not, I mean, you're never going to be able to get rid of all the guns. So let's not even think about that. Let's start thinking about mental health, mental well-being. What up, country girl? Man, I'm starting to get some Bubba Army royalty here, in her. Like I'm part of the Saint Lunatics, and I'm Nelly. Her. It's getting hot in her. It's getting hot in her since Country Girl came in.
Count. And the school district tells me there is no question these students will be punished, but as to exactly what that punishment...
Okay. What? We're not going to teach them anymore. We're going to suspend them. You need to go after the parents. Like I said, racism is not, you're not born racist. You're taught racism.
Punishment will be. They say that all depends on what they find in their investigation. In Stewart, Ari Height, WPBF 25 News.
All right, guys. So I'm going to get out of here. I got a busy ass day tomorrow on my 9 to 5. Corporate Tuddle has to get to work. I want to thank everybody that checked out the show. If you want to donate, you want to super chat on one platform, or you want to cheer some bits, you can easily do that. If you don't want to do that, you can hit me up, paypal.me/Tuddle on the radio. And if you don't want to help me out financially, tell your friends, family, loved ones, whoever it may be. Hell, even if you hate me and you hate your neighbor, tell them about me. I can't think of any other thing worse, because if you hate me and you hate your neighbor, you should tell them to listen to me. Gonna get out of here. I want to thank everybody that tuned in tonight's show. Hopefully you guys stay Dave. Hopefully you guys stay safe, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.